David Garrity of GVA Research on the phone, joining us with his thoughts on this. So, David, we've got HP buying Palm, $1.2 billion, $5.77 a share. There were some who thought nobody would be interested in Palm. What do you think about this?
Certainly it says that Palm, as far as the wireless service providers is concerned, is certainly a far better product because now you've got the balance sheet of Hewlett-Packard to support them. Certainly there is very much of an open question here as to whether HP is going to be going to the WebOS system or whether there's an opportunity that HP as a hardware vendor starts to support not only Palm's OS but also Windows 7 Compact Edition. From this standpoint, Hewlett very much of a surprise contender, but we had seen that Dell Computer had come out with handheld smartphones in markets outside the U.S., and certainly it shows that Hewlett-Packard wants to be in this fight.
What do you think about the price here, David? It's interesting because we just did, only a couple weeks ago, our own Ari Levy wrote a story about Palm. He surveyed the 19 analysts that we have on the system. They said, or 17 of them said, it is worth less than the closing price on that day, which was April 19th, $5.59. It's gone for a little bit more, 11 cents more. But it's interesting because analysts were so negative on how much this company would go for. Some were saying it should go for zero because they've got $400 million in debt. They've got convertibles, a lot still held by Elevation Partners, their biggest holder. I mean, what does this price say about Palm and about the market for a company like this?
Well, certainly it said that, Palm, given the fact that the Pre and the Pixie had been stumbling in the marketplace, certainly isn't getting the full value that it should have gotten. They are certainly getting value here off of the WebOS. And yes, I can't disagree with your point that, Elevation Partners here is being very well taken care of, and there's really not a lot left in terms of the consideration for the minority common shareholder.
David, what about for HP? I mean, it's a $1 billion purchase. This company is huge. It's made a fair amount of acquisitions. I mean, how much of a risk is it for it? How much of a gamble is it for HP to make this deal?
For HP to make this deal, no, it's not really much of a gamble. I mean, really more the question to ask here is that as we had seen smartphones become the preferred platform for people to be accessing the internet, how much of HP's laptop business was potentially at risk. And given the fact that, obviously another major hardware vendor, Dell, had already shown very significant moves into this category, obviously HP needed to come up with something. And certainly Palm in this case is a very good fit.
I got a question, David. We're sitting here, and somebody brought to my attention the idea that this is not the first time a large consumer electronics manufacturer has actually gone out and either bought or joint ventured. We're also talking about Sony Ericsson, and they've had some decent success with that joint venture. Is this something that HP might have been thinking of when they decided to go after Palm?
I think certainly HP may have looked at the fact that it was a joint venture relationship between Sony and Ericsson and said, look, it's far better from an operational perspective to actually own the business outright, and I think that's why we're seeing the structure we are.
Hey, David, it's Adam. Let me jump in if I may. I'm just looking at my screen here. On Hewlett, 29 buys, 8 holds, 0 sells. So obviously, analyst community loves the stock. The average target, $61. The stock's at $53.28 on the close. In other words, is there anything in this deal, it's a small deal, but is there anything in this deal that might make people like the stock even more? I mean, might you come in tomorrow morning and see a couple of analyst comments that say, yeah, now we really like it and we're going to up the target, or is it too small to move the needle at this point?
It's not necessarily too small to move the needle, but, bear in mind that, just because HP now has a smartphone in its lineup doesn't mean that people are suddenly going to wake up tomorrow and sort of say, aha, this is the next Apple. Because obviously there's a lot of things that Apple has in terms of its iTunes store and its apps that, HP doesn't have as of yet. Although, again, going back to the point we made earlier, now that you have the support of HP as a technology developer, as a financial backer in terms of their balance sheet, you probably have a number of different important constituencies now more far comfortable with the Palm product line than was the case heretofore. It's not only the wireless service providers, the likes of Verizon and others, but also from the standpoint of looking at the independent software developers and the willingness that they might have now to actually be making apps for the WebOS.
Hey, David.
So there's a potential here that obviously
I'm sorry,
HP
David.
has done here is to pick up Palm at a good price.
I'm just reading through the press release on this deal, and this is coming from Todd Bradley, who's an executive VP of Personal Systems Group for HP, and he says Palm's innovative operating system provides an ideal platform to expand HP's mobility strategy. He says Palm possesses significant IP assets and has a highly skilled team. Do you kind of agree with his assessment here?
Yeah, no, I would certainly agree with his assessment. I mean, you've had a lot of people who have said that, WebOS was a very, very attractive feature within Palm, more so than their handsets. And to the extent that HP has indicated clearly that what they're interested in here is the WebOS IP, obviously it says that if you're Microsoft, you've got to be concerned about the fact of what's your relationship with HP going to be going forward.
Is it also good, John Rubinstein, who's the Palm's current chairman and CEO, he's expected to stay with the company. Do you want to see him stay with this company, or do they need new top management? I got about 20 seconds here, David.
No, Rubinstein's background from Apple and what he's done with Palm to date clearly say he needs to stay with the company and needs to be there to the extent that HP is going to be successful.
All right, terrific. David, great to get your input.